Hi guys. I know I messed up the first time when recording this one. I'm sorry, I haven't been checking, and I know it's been like a while since, and I said I'd fix it 4 days ago, but kind of like what I said earlier, with my grandma, stuff just got worse. So yeah, I'm finally back to it. Anyways, let's get started. Chapter 9, for real this time. Mastermind Rise of Anarchy. Met by clouds. My head in the clouds, not coming down. Led by Rain MHA. Chapter 9 Motivation. Summary. Looking forward and back. Dabi looked out over the peaceful dark forest with a weird sense of deja vu. The last time he had been there, half the trees had been burning a bright blue, and peace was the exact opposite emotion that he had been trying to portray. But tonight was nice. If it had been lighter, the old scorch marks on some of the trees would still have been visible, but even in the middle of the night, Dabi could see the tall silhouettes of trees, more like husks now, whose limbs have been burned off that night. Those were good memories. He wasn't there to reminisce, however. No, Dabi was there to keep watch. Hey, Birdie, what's taking so long? Hawks barely flinched at the interruption and didn't even open his eyes. Dabi, you were raised by a pro hero. You know how hard it is to sneak through things past us, especially since we're the ones on probably high alert from the last time you were here. Do I need to remind you that if we hadn't been here, then we wouldn't be here now? Dabi smirked. Hawks huffed. That's part of the problem. I know that Mastermind's notebooks said this plan had potential, but it was really risky. They might just blame the League and try to attack us on sight, or worse, try to play double agent. You can recognize another durable agent, can't you, Birdie? Dabi teased. And seriously, I think we have enough tuna to be tempting. Cat jokes? Seriously? Hawks huffed, and ruffled his feather wings in annoyance. If this works, I'm constantly going to have to be fending off stupid cat and bird jokes, aren't I? Why? Dabi leaned close and whispered to his ears. Are you excited to be hunted? Hawks opened his eyes and shoved Dabi away. He was scowling and trying to be intimidated, but the way his feathers had puffed up and tried to make him seem bigger just made Dabi laugh harder. He was too easy to tease sometimes. You're lucky I finished, Hawks complained. If we'd gotten caught just because someone was more focusing on fooling around than actually completing the mission, yeah, Shigaraki would have our heads, yada yada yada. Dabi rolled his eyes. Now, pretty bird, are you gonna show me a whole new world or what? Hawks shook his head and grabbed Dabi so that they could fly home. I hate you. The feeling's mutual. Ochako hit the punching bag a little bit harder, ignoring the twinge in her forearm that kept trying to warn her that she was going too hard as she reared back her arm to punch again. Then punched again. Then again. Then again. Until the only thing she could think about or feel was the ache in her muscles, and everything else faded into the background like it was supposed to. She heard a noise behind her and spun around, already swinging a bruised punch at whatever villain was sneaking up on her at this time. She didn't even care how they'd gotten to UA. All she knew was this time she'd beat them. This time she'd be strong enough. She had to be. But by the time she realized it wasn't a villain at all, it was already too late to stop her momentum. Her eyes widened a bit in panic, but thankfully, Sue had enough presence of mind to dodge, or chuckled stumbled a little as her punch hit thin air. But she had trained enough over the past few months that she'd regained her balance almost immediately. Sue looked at her with almost a blank expression, and managed to somehow be knowing as she held out a towel. Can I sleep? Ochako shrugged and smiled apologetically as she took the towel. I was just feeling a little restless, that's all. Sorry for almost taking your head off. Sue raised an eyebrow. It's okay not to be okay, you know. Anyone can be having nightmares after what you. I'm fine, Sue, Ochako snapped and sighed and collapsed on the floor. I'm sorry, it was my own fault. I should have been more aware of the situation and and the clear red flags that I ignored, and Mastermind got the drop on me. That's it.
None of us knew it. None of us noticed his true colors, Sue said patiently, moving to sit crisscross applesauce. Not even not even Bakugo noticed. The kids were together.
Maybe that's why he was too blind to see it. But the rest of us should have been able to figure it out, Choco argued. Isn't Aizawa always good about finding situational awareness and trusting our gut? And Sue grabbed her hand.
We're just first years, Ochako.
And Mastermind was quirkless first year. Look what he did, Ochako snarled. He killed so many people. He killed All Might in front of us. Or did you just forget that? Sue's eyes softened. Ochako. No! Ochako's eyes hardened in determination. No, there's no excuse. Mastermind might be behind bars, but we have to be the best heroes we can, especially now that the villains think that they can do whatever they want. We have to be stronger than them. We have to keep people safe.
We can do that tomorrow, Sue tried. Right now, you need sleep, and
Ochako shook her head. You go ahead and sleep. I'll sleep a little later.
It's 3 a.m.,
Sue depaned. Ochako smiled. I guess that means it's training time. Nezu looked over diagrams again, feeling pride and welling up in his project was nowhere near finished. Midoriya might pride himself on having all of society at his plaything, but he wasn't the only one who could play that game. Mastermind may have changed the game, true, but he was a relatively new player in the scheme of things. He couldn't yet predict the tides of strategy or the ebb of in the flow of public. The opinion was a way of master like Nezu could do and had been doing for years. Yes, he was an excellent player, yet he didn't control the game. The Hero Society needed change. That much was obvious after the recent events, but it was also needed to stability. People craved consistency and safety just as much as freedom and anarchy that the villains stood for. The Hero Commission may have its corruptions, but ultimately it provided the exact service that people needed, even if they didn't know to ask for it. If they could keep the best parts of the old commission and create a new order that would respond to the weakness that Midoriya had unrevealed, then 40 of them, perhaps they could build a society that was even stronger and get back to the days where the heroes thrived. Nezu made a few more notes and drawings before pausing, only to take a few steps at ease. The vigilante-style ideals that the League of Villains had grown to represent made fighting them much harder. But Nezu had never been one to back down from a challenge. People needed hope, and they believed that the heroes could save them. They needed a symbol of light to look towards when things might get dark. Midori had deprived them of a symbol by killing All Might, and Hawks had been unable to willingly fit that role, but the chaos and despair made it obvious that such a symbol was necessary more than ever. Nezu just needed to find them and mold them into what the people needed. He finished another set of diagrams. He couldn't help but smiling that this game of chess that Nezu had envisioned when he had started pushing Mastermind's arrest, but he had to admit, this game Midori had pulled on him was much more fun. Manami flinched when Danjiro started rubbing the knots out of his shoulders. Gentle, what are you doing out of bed? Danjiro kept gently massaging her shoulders and leaned down and gave her neck a soft kiss. I was just coming to check on the love of my life. You've been sitting at the screen ever since this morning, dearest. I know, Manami started listlessly at the same information that she had been looking towards for the past 3 hours. If my program could have just been little bit better, or if I had more redundancies or a couple more backups.
then the heroes would have found a way around it, Danjiro said firmly. I know you blame yourself for not doing more, dearest, but but I know you blame yourself for not doing more, dearest, but we all do. But it's the hero's job to catch the villains. That's what they do. They were never going to stop going after young Mastermind, and there's nothing we could do to change the past. The tea has gone cold, and now all we can do is brew a new cup. Manami said. I guess. You're right. I just need to focus on getting him out now, I guess. Exactly. Now come here. Danjiro opened his arms and let Manami snuggle in the hug, almost tearing up at the familiar embrace. There, there. It will all turn out all right. No, Manami sniffed. I love you. I love you. Danjiro smiled softly, and she didn't even need to activate her quirk for the love for the for the words to make him seem brighter and stronger as he pressed a soft kiss on the top of her head. I know, darling. I love you too. Mandalay couldn't stop staring at the note, even as it crumpled in her hand from how tight she was gripping it. The notes had shown up in the pages of a diary with no warning, and no hint as to who could have put it there, which was raising red flags as high as they could go. But Mandalay couldn't even process as her brain latched onto the message, repeating it in her head like a drum that beat in rhythm with her pounding heart. Don't you want revenge?
I'm sorry for like the audio on the first half of it from last time too. Um, I have the wrong thing encrypted, but I still have a lot to make up, and I'm just trying to put chapters out. I'm sorry, guys. Um, but yeah, I hope you guys have a good day. Again, sorry for the late chapter. I know it's kind of weird, and some of you might have just skipped it or whatever. But if you're listening to it again, and if you've been waiting for it, here it is. I'm extremely sorry for it. I didn't realize I should have. I'll keep going over them next time. Anyways, have a good day, guys. I'll see you later in the next chapter.